Ferenc Bulsara, also known as Freddie Mercury, is the legendary songwriter, musician and composer of Queen, considered one of the greatest and influential artists of rock's history, memorable for his unmatched vocal talent and exuberant personality and mastery of the stage. He was born on September 5, 1946 in Zanzibar. Because of his father's job, an English government official, the family is often on the go and Freddie attends primary school and college in Bombay, India. As a kid he discovers and highlights his artistic talents. He is excellent in design and achieves remarkable results in numerous sports. His musical talent emerges at school and responding to the wishes of the St. Peter College's schoolmaster he begins to take piano lessons. What makes Freddie so confident in collecting successes and awards throughout his life? What can the story of this character teach us? Freddie Mercury has been an example of what gives meaning to the concept of self-acceptance. At the age of 18, after spending part of his teenage years in India, the family moved to England. In those years, in parallel with art and design studies at Ealing Art College in London, Freddie creates a clothing line and writes articles for some London periodicals. But he especially starts playing and performing concerts. This is how he meets Brian May and Roger Taylor, so that later, in April of 1970, together they will fund Queen. We can undoubtedly observe two important components during his growth: sense of self-efficacy and self-esteem. Self-confidence can be thought as the development and combination of these two elements. Self-efficacy refers to the inner belief that makes us feel able to reach and accomplish our goals. Self-esteem is more connected to feeling capable of performing activities and therefore feeling worthy. In fact, self-confident people are able to appreciate themselves and aren't afraid being themselves. People who develop a solid self-confidence are undoubtedly rare, but the good news is that this quality can be learned and developed, not only during early childhood, but during life experiences and while learning to face interpersonal relationships. Self-confidence also passes through the nonverbal communication. It can be recognized first of all by attitude and posture, but also by the mode and intensity to accept external judgment. A person with a solid identity and self-acceptance does not fear judgment. This is the spirit that made Ferenc Bulsara the well-known Freddie Mercury. This image expresses a solemn, open, and upward posture. Here it translates what Amy Cuddy, social psychologist and body language researcher, describes being the expression of victory that is well observed when an athlete reaches his or her goal. Posture shows proudness. It is here that the path of building self-confidence begins. Body language affects the way others see us, and it sometimes changes the way we see ourselves. It is a circular process that once produced it is self-feeding and it spreads, so it is a systemic thought. With success, Freddie begins to experience a life of excess and extravagance. He explores his sexuality and promiscuity. The relationship with his girlfriend Mary Austin undergoes a turning point and turns into a strong friendship that lasted all his life. Mary will remain by his side until the end of his days. Freddie, with a good dose of self-irony, staged his sexuality. In fact, he never made his sexual orientation a secret. He didn't feel the need to hide or fear others' judgment, even though he was a public figure. And his group bravely participates, for example, in Queen's video "I Want to Break Free." Irony is one of the finest abilities of human intelligence. When it is self-directed, it shows a recognition of one's vulnerable side, a self-acceptance and therefore a consequent personal growth. Self-irony expresses in an original and winning way that it is possible to love yourself, laugh about yourself, but above all, accept yourself. It is also important to point out that we are talking about the 1980s when, in the history of the rights and recognitions of homosexuality, it's one of the most complicated and delicate moments. Because it has to deal with the AIDS epidemic, in public opinion, erroneously, spreads the idea that this disease is related to homosexuality, increasing prejudices and confusion. Subsequently, with the spread and promotion of contraceptives, this false belief is fought. In fact, the initial spread of the virus in the homosexual community was due to less use of precautions, more common instead, among heterosexual couples for contraceptive reasons. But the concept of self-acceptance is not just limited to homosexuality, it is indeed an extended concept in all areas of existence in which judgment exists. The dictionary defines the word acceptance as admission of someone or something. Adding as a prefix self, you can talk about the ability of welcoming yourself, to have compassion and love for yourself. Self-acceptance means in fact to feel that you are okay just the way you are, despite your own vulnerabilities. Freddie Mercury was a skilled master of self-acceptance, especially in indulging in the curiosity of exploring and building his own identity. A character from whom to take example and be led to recover trust in yourself. Living the gift. Life stories to inspire us.